Is there still a possibility that any senator judge can stand up and on July 6 and say that he wants or he is moving to dismiss the articles of impeachment? It's always a possibility. Is that right?
Well, it is clear under the rules that there is no motion to dismiss, no? Or ang tawag natin dito is a prohibited pleading, no? The Senate rules does not provide for dismissal. The Senate rules only provide for trial and decision. Ang sabi dyan, the Senate shall have the exclusive power to try and decide all impeachment cases. It does not speak of dismissal. It does not speak of remanding. It does not speak of archiving. It does not speak of clarifying. It only speaks of trying and deciding all impeachment cases.
Enzo Recto, kalaban ang katiwalian at kasinungalingan, kakampi sa katotohanan at kabutihan.
Good morning and thank you for having me here.
Thank you for joining.
Good morning sa lahat ng ating viewers and followers.
Salamat po. Ma'am, what will happen on the second day or on the continuation of the pre-trial conference?
Well, for today, due for submission, yung mga written comments ng parties to the proposed stipulations of facts, no? Also, we gave an undertaking to submit the order of presentation as well of the articles of impeachment. And of course, we will be continuing the marking of exhibits for the prosecution and hopefully for the defense as well. We hope to finish today, as a matter of fact, no? So that if we will be able to finish today, we will just be waiting for the issuance of the pre-trial order. And after that, the parties can comment to the PTO and then wait for the start of the trial, which will be happening on July 6.
But what article of impeachment will you be focusing on for today, Congresswoman? I know that you finished 2 articles last week.
That is correct. So for the purpose of marking of exhibits, natira po itong 2 articles which have voluminous documents. One is the unexplained wealth and the other is confidential fund.
Okay. So you're confident that you will be able to finish today, but in the event that you don't finish it, when will you continue the pre-trial conference?
Perhaps if it will not be finished today, perhaps with the permission, of course, of the impeachment court, we will be continuing that tomorrow, no? What is important is to be able to terminate right away because, of course, we are settled that we will be starting the trial on July 6, and that has been the position of the prosecution since we started this PTC. Our position really and objective is to be able to proceed right away to the trial of these articles of impeachment, no? Kaya as much as possible, we would like to submit all the issues, all the list of witnesses and documents right away to the court so that we can terminate, hopefully, as soon as possible this PTC and prepare for the first schedule of the trial on July 6.
And you mentioned, ma'am, the pre-trial order. What will that contain?
Well, the pre-trial order will contain the stipulation of facts of both parties which were admitted, no, by each other, no. It will contain also the list of witnesses for both the prosecution and the defense, as well as the list of exhibits which were marked already. That is for both parties also. One for the prosecution and the other for the defense. It should contain also the summary of issues which are for resolution, no? And of course, the trial dates, that is very important, no? The significance of submitting the list of witnesses and documents is also for the purpose of knowing and determining the needed trial dates for the prosecution on one hand and for the defense on the other hand. So, in summary, yun yung mga laman ng pre-trial order. And this pre-trial order, of course, is very significant sapagkat ito na yung nagse-serve as agreement between the two parties, no? We are bound to follow what is contained in the pre-trial order. As a matter of fact, Evidences which are not included in the PTO, as a matter of general rule, cannot be presented during the trial.
So after the pre-trial conference, Congresswoman, in between that and July 5, or the day before the start of the trial, there won't be any procedure. We will just be waiting for the trial to start?
You are correct, no? So in between the termination of PTC and July 6, maghihintay lang po tayo ng issuance ng PTO, which is the pre-trial order. After receipt of the same, both parties are given opportunity to file the respective comment. Pwedeng merong kailangang i-correct, no? Whatever is their observation in the PTO, pwede pa yang ipa-address by way of filing a comment with the impeachment court.
All right.
And all of these things should happen before July 6 because we are certain already about the start of the trial on July 6.
All right. Last week, ma'am, there were reports that there was allegedly a clash between the defense team and the prosecution team, that Attorney Sheila Sison, the lead defense counsel of Vice President Duterte, supposedly dominated the pretrial conference. Other members of the House prosecution panel has denied this. What is, maybe just get from you what actually happened?
We do not agree to that narrative, no? Because as a matter of fact, the prosecution was able to achieve its goal, which is to expedite the pre-trial conference, no? We prevented all the possible things which may delay the conduct of pre-trial conference. And that is clear. We were able to achieve that, no? As a matter of fact, we cannot say even that there was domination by the defense over the prosecution, because what happened really is a mere exchange of argument, mere exchange of manifestation, which ended to an agreement to submit instead all the issues, all the admissions and denials, including the list of witnesses, list of exhibits, to submit the same in writing, no? And that is why bumilis ang conduct ng PTC, which has been our intention ever since, no? So, lahat ng nag-circulate sa social media about dominating the prosecution, we do not agree to that. As a matter of fact, I charged it to fake news, which we have anticipated ever since this impeachment process is started, kahit no nasa house pa, no? And that is why I wish to remind the Filipino people, let us be cautious in reading from social media. And also, I want to state for the record that the prosecutors are representing the Filipino people. No way na papayag tayong madumi na ang laban ng sambayanang Pilipino.
What do you think is the purpose of those who are spreading this fake news about the defense dominating over the prosecution panel?
It has been addressed already ever since, no? Na one of the challenges in this impeachment trial is the peddling of fake news, and it appears to us that this operation started already. Nevertheless, we are focused, we have strong evidence, and we are conscious about our constitutional duty to present them before the impeachment court. Matagal na itong hinihintay ng sambayanan. We've been successful in pushing this forward to make sure that the trial starts on July 6, and we will remain committed to the sovereign Filipino people in representing their interests in this impeachment trial.
Do you think the purpose is to make the prosecution panel look weak to the public?
Whatever their purpose is, what is important, we remain focused in our constitutional duty to present the evidence in support of the articles of impeachment, no? This is a very solemn, very sacred duty that we are fulfilling, Victoria, and we do not want to dwell on the malicious intentions, ill intentions of spreading this fake news in the social media. But for the prosecution, we believe that the evidence is strong, and we will continue fulfilling our duty for the interest of the sovereign Filipino people.
And just another question on that point. Do you think it would be better if the pretrial conference would be made live so that this kind of fake news will be avoided, so that the people will be better informed of what's really happening in the procedure?
That has been our position, Victoria, no? When we received the notice for pretrial conference. But nevertheless, we understand that we have to submit to the authority and discretion of the impeachment court. Ito yung naging directive ng impeachment court to avoid media and live streaming in this pretrial conference. And we have no other option but to submit to that. Nevertheless, marami pa pong proceedings ang magaganap. No? We will be starting the trial on July 6. And let us remember, ito po ay laban ng ebidensya. Hindi po ito laban ng palakasan ng sigaw. As a matter of fact, we are bound to maintain proper decorum inside the impeachment court, no? And we are of the position that we have strong evidence and we will present them before the impeachment court in support of the articles of impeachment.
What was the explanation of the impeachment court, ma'am, to their decision to not make it live, the pretrial conference?
We did not actually dwell on that, except that we understand that, most especially with respect to the marking of exhibits, this is quite time-consuming and a little boring, no? So that's one perhaps, and maybe they wanted to give the fullest latitude to both parties to be able to come up with the possible admission of stipulation of facts, no? Which is one of the purposes of the pre-trial conference, no? Siguro maganda ring i-share sa ating mga kababayan what is PTC, what is the purpose of PTC. Ang purpose po nito is to come up with a simple, expeditious, and fair trial, which means that preliminary matters are being addressed already during pre-trial conference, so that when we start the trial, we will directly proceed to the presentation of evidence and do away with matters which were agreed upon already by the defense and the prosecution.
Doon naman po sa usapin ng presiding officer, there has been a lot of talk about Senator Francis Escudero possibly being elected as the presiding officer of the impeachment court. Does the prosecution panel have any apprehension if Senator Escudero will be elected as presiding officer?
We have no apprehension. As a matter of fact, whether it is Senator Cheese Escudero or SP Win Gatchalian, the prosecution is expressing utmost confidence and faith to the impeachment court. After all, we are both conscious. The House prosecutors are discharging a constitutional duty in the same way that the senator judges will be discharging their constitutional duty.
But former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio himself said, Congresswoman, that Escudero or Senator Escudero is not a good fit because forthwith didn't actually become forthwith under him when he was Senate President. What's your take on that?
Definitely, we respect so much retired Justice Antonio Carpio, no? But nonetheless, I wish to comment that the circumstances surrounding the first impeachment back in the 19th Congress, that is where there was a lot of discussions about forthwith, no, is entirely different to the circumstances surrounding the present impeachment, no? So I wish to tell the Filipino people, let us give the benefit of the doubt to Senator Cheese Escudero if ever he will be designated as the presiding officer in this impeachment trial.
And on the voting threshold, let's move to the voting threshold matter. You have said before that the required 16 votes can be lowered because some of the senators cannot physically attend, cannot physically go to the Senate. Will you make a motion to reduce the voting threshold during trial?
We haven't decided yet as to the filing of the necessary motion for the interpretation of the required threshold for the purpose of conviction, no? We're very much focused on the pre-trial conference, no? But definitely we will be discussing this among ourselves. Bagaman, we honestly believe that this question falls squarely, exclusively to the purview of doctrine of political question, which means that it will be the exclusive prerogative of the Senate to decide on the proper interpretation of threshold for the purpose of conviction.
But the prosecution can still make a move or make a motion if you see
Well-
that this should be the case?
Well, it's not prohibited under the rules raising that kind of motion, no? As a matter of fact, I anticipate that even the senator judges will be very much interested to make the same as subject matter of deliberation either in any stage of the trial. So we will look forward to that, Victoria, and we will come up with our position as prosecution team as to whether we will be filing the necessary motion or not.
I know you've commented already on this issue, but for the benefit of our viewers who are tuning in for the first time or who may be hearing you for the first time on this, why should the voting threshold be lowered when the Constitution says that all members of the Senate should be considered when getting the 2/3 vote?
First of all, I am very much enlightened by the doctrine in Avellino versus Cuenco, where the Supreme Court pronounced that only the senators who are within the coercive power of the Senate should be considered for the purpose of determining the quorum. And perhaps this should be applied also for the purpose of determining the threshold, no? I see the logic behind because we understand that the reason why we have senators is to represent the interests of the Filipino people. And if we will assume the situation where our senator is detained, our senator is in hiding, the question is, can we honestly say that they are representing the interests of the Filipino people? Of course, the answer to that is no. And along that line, I humbly submit that for the purpose of this constitutional duty, only those who can truly represent the interests of our countrymen should be considered for the purpose of this threshold of conviction is concerned. So my position is just a personal opinion. It doesn't bind the prosecution. But nevertheless, it is very much anchored on the constitutional duty of the senators. If they cannot discharge or fulfill their constitutional duty because they are detained or in hiding, then it follows that the number should be reduced for the purpose of determining the quorum and for the purpose of determining the threshold.
And looking at the composition of the Senate now and the evidence that you have, how confident are you, Congresswoman, that you can get the required 16 or 15 votes or maybe less for conviction?
Regardless of the threshold, no, whether it is 16, 15, or 14, we are confident that our evidence is strong and it supports very well the 4 articles of impeachment. As to whether there will be conviction or acquittal, that is a constitutional duty which belongs to the exclusive prerogative of the senator judges.
And although it looks like it is all systems go for July 6, is there still a possibility that any senator judge can stand up and on July 6 and say that he wants or he is moving to dismiss the articles of impeachment? It's always a possibility. Is that right?
Well, it is clear under the rules that there is no motion to dismiss, no? Or ang tawag natin dito is a prohibited pleading, no? The Senate rules does not provide for dismissal. The Senate rules only provide for trial and decision. Ang sabi dyan, the Senate shall have the exclusive power to try and decide all impeachment cases. It does not speak of dismissal. It does not speak of remanding. It does not speak of archiving. It does not speak of clarifying. It only speaks of trying and deciding all impeachment cases.
So if someone stands, makes a motion to dismiss, that is unconstitutional?
That is my humble submission. Because it is the position of the prosecution that motion to dismiss is not allowed in the impeachment trial.
Okay.
Bunyog, bunyog, halikan na kasama ka. Bunyog, kapag buklod ay may pag-asa. Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, isa ang pananaw. Sa bagong Pilipinas ang bunyog isisigaw. Bunyog.